Let's offer our respects to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Okay, so in the previous class, we finished with chapter 3, titled Karma Yoga, and we started chapter number 4, Transcendental Knowledge. So Karma Yoga, how does this law of karma work? Of course, we finished the chapter, but let's just try to understand a little bit more. Let's say in this lifetime, if I do 100 activities, then how many fruits will I get for those 100 activities? I get 100 fruits, results of those actions. So let's say out of those 100, 50 were good and 50 were bad. So do the plus 50 and minus 50, then they all cancel each other and the result is 0. Then that means no reaction. Is that how it works? Do 50 plus action negate the 50 minus action? So plus and minus, then the answer is 0?
No.
No. Why? Because for those 50 good actions, I have to get 50 rewards. And for the 50 bad actions, I have to get 50 punishments. Yes, they don't negate each other. So I slap you, you slap me. So we call it quits. That's not how the law of karma works. If I slap someone, I have to get slapped by somebody else. And that someone else for slapping me will have to get slapped by somebody else. That's how this law of karma works, right? So I cannot rob Peter to help Paul. I cannot protect one person and harm another person. I cannot feed the dog, but to feed the dog, I'm killing another animal. I cannot kill one animal to feed another animal. So the law of karma is not like that. For whatever good we do, we have to get rewarded. And for whatever bad we do, we have to get punished. So now let's say in my next lifetime, I have to get the 50 rewards and the 50 punishments. But I'm only able to get 20 and 20. Now the remaining 30 good and the 30 bad, for that again what will happen? I have to take birth again to reward those 30 remaining, because one lifetime was not enough to reap all the good actions and to get punished for all the good actions. So sometimes one lifetime is not enough. So then it gets carried forward to the next lifetime. Now in the next lifetime, I have got my 50 punishments and my 50 rewards. So now is my balance 0? No, because now again in the new lifetime, I have committed 500 more actions. So now again for those 500 more actions, I have to get so many more punishments and so many more rewards. So like that, as long as we are getting reactions to our actions, whether it is good or bad, doesn't matter. As long as we are getting reactions to the actions, we have to keep taking birth again and again and again. We cannot get relief from the cycle of birth and death. The good actions take us to higher births, higher planetary systems, or a very elevated birth here only, probably birth in a rich aristocratic family, or fame, lot of money, right? So I'm getting rewarded for it. But the problem is I'm still stuck in the material realm. I'm still within the cycle of birth and death. Both birth and death are very, very painful. We think that only death is painful, but even birth, even when we have taken birth, we have gone through excruciating pain. There is a very graphic description of how birth is painful in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Anyway, what is the pain one experiences at death? I was hearing in a class that it's like 1,000 scorpions stinging at one place at one time. That is the kind of pain one experiences at the time of death, the moment the soul is pulled out from the core of the heart. But even that pain is at least for that one moment, right? And it's gone, just that one quick thing and gone. But birth is even more excruciatingly painful because the child is in the womb of the mother for 9 months. It's in this dark, small place, all cramped up. The skin is not completely formed, and there are worms and other worms biting. And every time the mother eats very spicy or pungent foods, the skin, I mean, not even the skin, the body of the child burns. So the child goes through a hellish condition for 9 months in the womb of its mother. So birth also is very, very painful. So is death. And as long as we are caught in the web of reactions, good or bad doesn't matter. As long as we are in the web of reactions, we have to keep going through this cycle of birth and death. So how to cut through the cycle of birth and death? Krishna says in chapter 3 that you have to work for the pleasure of the Lord. Don't be attached to the fruits of the work. Give the fruits to me, Krishna says. And that's the reason why also we offer the prasad, right? We offer the food to the Lord so that it becomes prasad. As long as we are eating food for our own sense gratification, we are caught in the cycle of birth and death because we have prepared that for our own sense gratification. But when we offer it to the Lord, then it is for the pleasure of the Lord. So that is free from karma. So then towards the end of chapter 3, we saw Arjuna asking a question, and he asked, what is it that forces one to perform sinful activities, even though unwillingly, even though the person is not willing to do it, still there is something that internally forces him to commit sinful acts. So what is that? Arjuna asks. And Krishna then towards the end of chapter 3, in the whole section, he is dealing with the subject matter of lust. He says that it is lust which impels you to perform sinful activities unwillingly. And then he goes on to elaborate where does lust, what are the sitting places of lust, how lust is the greatest enemy, and how to overcome, how to fight this enemy. And towards the end, he says that by transcendental knowledge, by spiritual intelligence, he says by spiritual intelligence you can defeat this enemy. So that is the connecting link between chapter 3 and chapter 4, because where do we get spiritual intelligence from? We get it from Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. So that leads us to chapter number 4, which is titled as transcendental knowledge. And we completed 3 shlokas in chapter 4. We saw the Falashruti of chapter 4, which was to get a human birth in a Brahmin family with the consciousness of detachment. So first of all, human birth is very special because only in the human birth we can realize God. But getting a human birth in a Brahmin family is even more special because then from childhood only the child is raised in the environment of spirituality. And one may have a human birth, one may be born in a Brahmin family, but if he gets attached to materialistic sense gratification, then again he's caught in the web. So with the consciousness of detachment also is added to this Falashruti. Human birth in the Brahmin family with the consciousness of detachment. This is what is the result or the benefit of reading, reciting chapter number 4. So we saw in chapter 1 how Krishna said that Arjuna is not the first recipient of this knowledge. This knowledge was first spoken to the sun god Vivaswan. Vivaswan spoke it to Manu, and Manu spoke it to Ikshvaku. Who made the Ikshvaku dynasty famous by appearing in this Ikshvaku dynasty?
Can you repeat the question?
Who made the Ikshvaku dynasty famous by appearing in it?
Rama.
Lord Ram, yes. Lord Ramachandra appeared in the Ikshvaku dynasty. That's why one of Ram's names is Ikshvaku Kula Tilaka, which means he is the crest jewel of the Ikshvaku dynasty. One of Ram's names is Ikshvaku Kula Tilaka because he appeared in this dynasty. Okay. And then we saw how Krishna is telling Arjuna reason why he chose Arjuna to re-speak this knowledge. The reason being that Arjuna is his devotee as well as his friend. Friend means he is his well-wisher. He's not envious of him. And because, of course, Arjuna is his devotee. So Prabhupada writes this in his purport. I'm sorry, not in the purport, but he writes this in the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita. And he says, trying to understand the Bhagavad Gita with one's own mundane knowledge is like licking a bottle of honey from the outside. Only when one becomes a devotee of Lord Krishna, one can understand the Bhagavad Gita. So yes, this is see here in the shloka, it says Uttamam Rahasyam. It is a great mystery. So one may ask, how can it be a great mystery? One can purchase a Bhagavad Gita in a bookshop across the counter, right? Anybody can go and purchase. So the reason why it's a great mystery is because one will not be able to taste the nectar unless one is a devotee. So for somebody who's trying to understand it by his own mundane knowledge, yes, he has the nectar with him, but he's only tasting he's trying to lick it from the outside. He's not really getting the real nectar. He cannot really understand it in the true sense. So the real nectar can be tasted only when the bottle is opened up. Yes, the bottle will be opened up only when one approaches the Bhagavad Gita as a devotee or in the right humble and submissive mood, not in a challenging mood. Okay, let's. Who can help read today? Volunteers for our reading today? Nobody wants to read today?
I can do.
Okay, Shreya, thank you. So you will read
I can read the other text or translation, whatever works for you.
Okay. All right. So one more volunteer?
Okay, I'll do the translations.
Okay, thank you. So Anjali and Shreya. So please repeat first. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay, so let's read a summary of the first 3 verses.
Verses 1 to 3, Ancientness of the Bhagavad Gita. I don't know how to. Is it 120?
120 million
400,000 years. In other words, eternal, not a speculative treatise. It is a standard book of knowledge spoken to Rajarshi. They must know so that they can protect their subjects from the bondage of lust. Leaders, administrative heads, teachers, parents must have this knowledge. This knowledge is apurusheya, superhuman, not subject to the 4 defects.
So Krishna uses the word Raja Rishi. What do you mean by Raja Rishi? Raja means king and Rishi means sage. So is he talking about 2 people or is he talking about 1 person? He's talking about
It's talking about it's talking about like a king with very good qualities that acts like a sage or a rishi.
Exactly. Yes. So he's talking about a king who has spiritual knowledge and he also acts on that knowledge. So he's a sage in his activities, but sage in his dealings, right? Saintly in his dealings, but he is a king by profession. So they are called as Raja Rishis. So previously, of course, a lot of importance was laid on that the leaders of the society or the leaders of the kingdom should have transcendental knowledge because they are the leaders and everybody is going to follow the leader. If they become irreligious, if they are not following spiritual practices, then everybody will stop following spiritual practices. So therefore, it was considered imminent or very, very important that they must be trained up in spirituality. And Prabhupada writes in the purport how this knowledge is apurusheya. It is superhuman. It is not subject to the 4 defects. Now, of course, Krishna, although he appears to be like an ordinary human being when he descends to the material world, he is still God. He is still fully spiritual. His body is also still completely transcendental. So he is not subject to the 4 defects of every living entity. What are the 4 defects of every living entity?
Eating, sleeping.
No, 4 defects. 4 defects.
Illusion, what we did in like
Mataji, is
before
it
first
birth,
chapter,
death,
right?
old age, and disease?
No. Birth, death, old age, and disease are the 4 problems of material existence. Yeah, what Shreya was saying is correct.
Illusion.
Yeah, always illusion. Then tendency to
cheat.
Tendency to cheat. Then one more tendency.
Lethargy or laziness?
Uh-huh.
Tendency
No,
to lie?
No, that comes under tendency to cheat only.
Cheat,
Tendency
right,
to
yeah.
make
Mistakes.
And the first one was imperfect senses. So these are the 4 defects we all have. We have imperfect senses. We are all illusioned. We have the tendency to cheat and we have the tendency to make mistakes. But Krishna, he is not subject to these 4 defects. He is not going to make mistakes and he is not going to cheat us. He doesn't have imperfect senses, neither is he under any kind of illusion. So because this knowledge is spoken by Krishna himself, therefore this knowledge is superhuman. It is apurusheya. Prabhupada explains in the book. Let's read this.
Importance of Parampara. Knowledge is handed down in Parampara starting from Krishna. Krishna personally comes to set right whenever this chain is broken. We must therefore stick to Parampara, otherwise, the knowledge will be lost or inaccessible due to delusion or deviation. Mundane scholars do not accept Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead, yet they make good business of the works of Krishna.
So mundane scholars, people who are not devotees, they do not accept Krishna as God. They think that Krishna is an ordinary human being who had extraordinary powers. That's what they would say. He had some powers, but he was an ordinary human being. But still, they preach the Bhagavad Gita. They have become great philosophers. They write commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita. They hold these, what do you call it? Bhagavad Sapta, right? Bhagavad Sapta also is held by many people who do not really accept Krishna as a supreme personality of God. So they are making good business out of Krishna's words, but they do not accept Krishna as God. So therefore, it's important that one hears this knowledge from the right person, from a person who belongs to a disciplic succession. Because if we have a nice sweet dish, let's say there is this nice gulab jamun, and it is given to us in a dirty container, will it appeal to us? Would we feel like eating it if it's in a dirty container? Although the gulab jamun is very delicious, it will not appeal to us, right? We will not feel like eating it. So in the same way, if the knowledge is given to us, is coming to us from a person who is not bona fide, then it will not appeal, it will not touch our hearts. Why? Because the purity of that knowledge has been lost. Prabhupada always said that purity is the force. Okay, if you want to convince someone, then purity is the force. The more, as much as the knowledge is kept pure without any addition or subtraction, automatically it will appeal to the masses. There is no need for a preacher or anybody else who's trying to teach this knowledge to somebody else to come up with something that is not already there. We just have to repeat what Krishna has already spoken, because that is 100% pure and that will do the job. We just have to repeat it. Let's continue here.
Eligibility to receive this knowledge. Devotee and friend, non-envious. Even the spiritual master will reveal only when there is a service attitude and respect. This service attitude is the password. Even if one has a computer full of priceless data, one cannot access it without a password. Uttam Rahasyam.
So this is the example. So we have the book in front of us, but we cannot access it because we are lacking the password. Okay. So let's start with 4.4.
Arjuna uvacha aparam bhavato janma param janma vivasvataha kathametad vijaniyam tvamadau proktavaniti.
Translation. You're on mute, Anjali.
Yeah. Translation. Arjuna said, the sun god Vivasavan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed the science to him?
So now Arjuna has a question. Krishna just said that he has given this knowledge to the sun god. Now Arjuna is thinking, the sun god is so old. The sun has been existing for so many millions of years, and Krishna is my contemporary. Krishna and I have taken birth almost at the same time, and Krishna is standing there right in front of him. So when did Krishna speak this to the sun god? He is not able to understand. Now Krishna has said something. Of course, what Krishna speaks is the absolute truth. Now Arjuna has a doubt. He's saying, how did you speak this? How is it possible? So what do you think? Is Arjuna correct to ask this question to Krishna? Should he not have accepted this knowledge as it is from Krishna? Was he justified? Can we say that it's fine that he has asked this question to Krishna? What do you think? So let's take a poll. And you can answer there. Can we wait for 30 more seconds? Okay, we'll end the polling here. Let's see. So only 2 people think that he should not have asked this question. So let's try to analyze how Arjuna has asked this question. What does he say? Arjuna says, how am I to understand? That is the key here. How is he phrasing his question? So how am I to understand? He's putting the blame on himself that I am not able to understand. He's not saying that, Krishna, you have spoken wrong, or you are speaking lies, or what you're speaking does not make sense. He is saying that I am not able to understand. So my brain, I don't have the intelligence to understand. So please tell me, how can I understand this? So one always has the right to ask questions to his spiritual master. Remember, Krishna as Arjuna's spiritual master. So remember the turning point of the Bhagavad Gita was 2.7, where he says that, please accept me as your disciple. So here Arjuna is asking this question to his spiritual master. But the way he phrases it is the key. How am I to understand? So we can always ask a question to our spiritual master, but not, this is the way. Arjuna is teaching us how we can ask questions. We don't have to follow something blindly. Prabhupada said, no, that religion without philosophy is blind faith. So never have our Acharya said that you just follow something blindly. Ask the questions and get your doubts cleared. But how we ask is the key. Let's read this.
A rough estimate is that the Gita was spoken at least 120,400,000 years ago. In human society, it has been extant for 2 million years. Purport 4.1. Question by Arjuna. How am I to understand? Perfect example of submissive inquiry allows Krishna to speak about his position. Verses 5 to 10, Krishna's answer to the question.
Now, because Arjuna has inquired, now Krishna is going to speak more about his position. You know, because the question has come, now Krishna is going to reveal more about himself when he has to answer this question. So this has opened the doors for all of us also. Remember, remember Arjuna is a self-realized soul. He does not, he knows all this, but for the benefit of us, he has asked these questions. Even we may have that doubt. Oh, Krishna, he looks so young. He's right now here on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And the sun is millions of years old. So how is it possible? We may also ask. So for our benefit, Arjuna has asked this question. And now Krishna is going to speak about his position in the upcoming verses. Okay, so talking about asking questions, this is a little off topic, but I wanted to add it here. These two personalities on your screen are, who are they?
Sukdev Goswami and Maharaja Parikshit.
Yes. So Maharaj Parikshit was cursed to die within 7 days, and therefore he went in search of the absolute truth. And he asked this question to Sukadeva Goswami. And he asked him, what is my duty now that I'm going to die? What is my duty? So what is the duty of a dying man is the question of Sukadeva Goswami's, Sukadeva Goswami's question. I'm sorry, is Maharaj Parikshit's question. And Sukadeva Goswami says, let's just read the translation.
Translation. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, "My dear king, your question is glorious because it is very beneficial to all kinds of people. The answer to this question is the prime subject matter for hearing and is approved by all transcendentalists."
So when a question is beneficial to all kinds of people, then it is a prime subject matter for hearing and it is approved by all transcendentalists. So thanks to the question that Maharaj Parikshit asked Sukadeva Goswami, what followed was a conversation and that conversation is documented in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore, yes, we have to ask those kind of questions which will be beneficial. Now, these two personalities who have come together for this conversation of the Srimad Bhagavatam, both of them are extra special, extremely special, because they both had the mercy of the Lord when they were in the wombs of their mothers itself. The personality on the left is, can anybody identify?
Parikshit Maharaj?
Yes, Maharaj Parikshit. So Maharaj Parikshit, when he was in the womb of his mother Uttara, he was the sole survivor who would become the next heir to the throne, because all of the other sons of the Pandavas, they died, right? So Ashwadama wanted to kill Maharaj Parikshit. So therefore he sent a Brahma, a lethal weapon, to kill him in the womb itself of his mother. So that time Krishna entered the womb of Uttara and protected Maharaj Parikshit. So Maharaj Parikshit saw the Lord. He had the personal darshan of the Lord when he was still in the womb of his mother. Now, can you identify the personalities on the right side of the screen?
Prahlad Maharaj.
No, that's not Prahlad.
Vyasadeva with Sukadeva Goswami in the womb.
Yes, correct. Vyasadeva with Sukadeva Goswami in the womb of his mother. And the third personality is?
Sukadeva Goswami's mother,
Okay, and one more?
Krishna.
Yes, that's Krishna himself. So, when Sukadeva Goswami was in the womb of his mother, he was already self-realized. So, and he thought that if I come out, then I will be caught up in this web of Maya. I will fall into Maya, and therefore he did not want to come out of the womb of his mother. He was in the womb of his mother for 16 years, and he just did not come out. And finally, upon the request of Vyasadeva, Krishna personally came there and he assured Sukadeva Goswami that you please come out, and I promise you that you will not fall into Maya. And that is when Sukadeva Goswami came out of the womb of his mother. So both these personalities, which who were involved in this conversation in Srimad Bhagavatam, have actually had the special mercy of the Lord when they were still in the wombs of their mothers. So see, how we ask, that matters. We can ask, but how we ask, we have to know. Let's read this.
How can you say that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead versus Maharaj? How can we understand what you are saying, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead?
So which of the two is the correct way of asking?
Second one, because it says, how can we understand?
Yes, so because the first one says, how can you say? We cannot ask our seniors, or we cannot ask our spiritual master, how can you say that? No, what he's saying is true. We can say, how can we understand that what you're saying is true? Sorry? Okay, Varun, I think you have to mute yourself. Okay, let's read.
Questions asked to garner attention, questions asked out of arrogance, questions asked to show off their knowledge, to impress, ingenuine questions asked with a taunting attitude.
So these are the kind of questions that we should not engage in. So sometimes in a class, you may see somebody every time lifting their hand and asking questions purposely. Why? Because they want everybody to look at them. They think that they are the center of the universe, and they want to be the center of that audience. So to garner attention, so that everybody turns and looks at them, they keep on asking questions. Sometimes people ask ingenuine questions. Something like, what was the drainage system in Dwarka? Is that important? Is that necessary to know what was the drainage system in Dwarka? So these are ingenuine questions, unnecessary questions. Questions with a taunting attitude. So let's say there is an audience, and we know that, and somebody in the audience knows that this other person is a chain smoker, for example. So he wants to taunt this other person because of his chain smoking. And he asks the speaker purposely, oh, what is the karmic reaction for someone who is a chain smoker? So he's actually asking this question to taunt this other person, right? So these questions are asked with a taunting attitude. Or we may ask questions to impress. So somebody may say, oh, Krishna's first expansion in the material world is Mahavishnu. From Mahavishnu comes Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. From Garbhodakshaya Vishnu comes Shirodakshaya Vishnu. From Shirodakshaya Vishnu comes Lord Brahma. Okay, fine, but what is the question? So they go on asking just to show off their knowledge, to impress. So these are the kind of questions that we have to avoid. 4.5.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Bahuni me vyatitani Janmani tava charjuna Tanyaham veda sarvani Natvam vedha parantapa.
Translation: The personality of Godhead said, "Many, many births both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy."
So here Krishna is answering the question. Arjuna is asking, how come you have instructed the sun god who is millions of years old? So here Krishna is saying, actually many, many births have passed. You are only seeing this birth. So you see me as a contemporary in front of you. But actually many, many births have passed. You and I, both of us have passed. But what is the difference between Krishna and Arjuna? Krishna says, I remember all of them, but you cannot remember. Why? Because Krishna, although he appears to be an ordinary human being, when he's in the material world, his body is still completely spiritual. But conditioned souls are not like Krishna. Our body is not spiritual. Our body is material. So when the body changes, then the memory is erased. Now, body is changing every moment, right? Every moment our body is changing. So therefore, there is partial amnesia. Something or the other we keep forgetting throughout the day. So we are forgetting partially because our body is constantly changing. Every moment it is changing. But when the body completely changes, or when the soul takes a brand new, fresh body, then there is complete loss of memory. Now the previous memory is completely wiped out. So there is the soul. The soul in the material world is covered by the subtle body, and the subtle body is covered by the gross body. At the time of death, what happens? This gross body disappears. Now the soul and the subtle body go to the next gross body. When the subtle body also disappears, now the soul enters the spiritual realm. But as long as the soul is in the material world, it has a subtle body and it has a gross body. So every time this happens, every time the gross body completely disappears, which is at the time of death, then there is complete amnesia. Therefore, we cannot remember our previous lifetime. Although we may not remember our previous lifetime, still the activities that we did in the previous lifetime or lifetimes, that we have to pay for in this lifetime or in the future lifetimes. Now, do you think that it's unfair that we are paying for something, we are being punished for something, but we don't know what we did? Would you like to know what is it that you did in your previous life? Would you like to remember your previous lifetime? So that you know what are you getting punished for? If you, let's write it in the chat. If you think that you would like to know, then write yes. And if you say no, then please write no. Let's see.
Mataji, I had a question.
Yes.
Is it okay to ask now?
Yes, yes.
This may be a little off topic, but won't it help us to amend our mistakes if we come to know what bad we had done?
So we were discussing today how we are caught in the web of karma. Yes, as long as we are living, we are doing actions. So good or bad, we are caught in the web of karma. So how to come out of it, how to erase the bad that we have done, how to correct it, is when we surrender to the Lord. When we engage in devotional service, then we are wiping out our karma in proportion to the devotional service that we are doing. The more devotional service we do, the more past karma we are burning. And when we take initiation from a bona fide spiritual master, then all our karma is wiped out. The slate is wiped clean completely, because the spiritual master, all the karma of the disciple has been transferred to the spiritual master. Does that answer your question?
Mataji, I had a following question. So when you say, I understand, if we do spiritual activities, it will wipe away our karma, and like with a, qualified guru, but what does that, like just chanting Krishna's name will help us, or like what other spiritual activities is like humans like us are supposed to do?
Yeah, so there are 9 items of bhakti: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Takhyam, Atma Nivedanam. So these one can engage in any one of these 9 items of bhakti. Shravanam and Kirtanam, hearing and chanting. Vishnu Smaranam, remembering the Lord. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam. Pada Sevanam means worshipping the lotus feet of the Lord. Archanam, deity worship. Vandanam, offering prayers. Dasyam, serving the Lord as a servant. Sakhyam, serving the Lord as a friend. Atma Nivedanam, surrendering everything. So these are basically the 9 items of bhakti. But when you do any kind of devotional service, to that extent you are burning your past karma. So the thing is, we do our activities, even our daily day-to-day activities we do, but at the same time, we remember the Lord. We make the switch in our mind. We change the consciousness with which we are doing the activities. We Krishna-ize the activities.
Okay, Mataji, thank you. That helps.
Okay. So here we have, some of you have said that, yes, you would like to remember your past life. And some of you have said that, no, you would not like to remember your past life. See, okay, now let's try to understand that when we remember our past life, so what happens is, along with us remembering knowing why we are suffering, what is the activity that we did, along with that, we have to go through the trauma of our bad experiences in the past life. And imagine remembering that, oh, in the previous life, so-and-so was my husband, so-and-so was my son, so-and-so was my mother, and they are still around in some part of the world. And and then we are not able to manage the relationships we have in this lifetime itself, and then we will complicate our life so much more when we come in touch with the people we were connected to in the past lifetime. We will go crazy. Don't you think so? It's going to be hell. It's a hellish condition. So actually the Lord has done us a great favor by allowing us to forget our past lifetime. So we don't have those worries anymore. Imagine in the previous lifetime, let's say somebody died young. And now he says that, but mom, I'm your son from the previous lifetime. You have to take care of me. Boy, we will go crazy. We cannot take care of our children in this lifetime itself. Imagine having to take care of the children from the previous lifetime. So it's actually the Lord's favor that he's allowed us to forget. Okay, and coming to the reason why we would like to know why we are suffering. What is it? So a criminal has the right to know why he's being punished. So that's fine. Once he goes back to the spiritual world, everything is going to be revealed to him. Okay, so he will know later. Now that's not important. Now what is important is how I can burn those sinful actions. Exactly what Divya asked. That is what is important. That is what we need to know right now. If we are caught up in a building that is on fire, are we going to be concerned first about how the fire started? Was there a short circuit? Has somebody purposely set fire to the building? Are we going to think all that first? Or are we going to first try and get out of the building that is on fire? What is our first task on hand? First of all, we have to just want to get out of the building, right? So that's what is important. Now we are in this prison house. What is important is how are we going to come out of it? Later we can inquire. Once we have come out of the building and we are safe, then we can inquire, oh, how did this fire start in the first place? Then we can inquire all these things. But that is for later. Right now, what is important is how am I going to get out? That is what is important. So it doesn't matter why we are suffering. We know that it's because of our karma. So how to come out of it? That's what we need to know. Okay. 4.6.
Ajopi sannavyayatma bhutanamishvaropi san prakritim swamadhisthaya sambhavamyatmamayaya.
Translation: Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form.
So Krishna previously he said that I have appeared millions of times and I remember all my past births. So now he is saying, when does he appear? I appear in every millennium. And how does he appear? When he appears, he says, my transcendental body never deteriorates. That's why you will never find a photo of Krishna as an old man, because his body does not deteriorate. He doesn't grow old like the other conditioned living entities like you and me. We grow old, but he doesn't grow old. And Krishna says that he is Ajo. Ajo means he is unborn. Krishna does not take birth. Although we use the word Janmashtami. So we think that Krishna has taken birth. Krishna doesn't take birth. He appears. Krishna does not die. He disappears. Prabhupada gives the example of the sun. We say that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Does the sun really rise and set? It appears that it is rising and setting, but the sun is not really rising and setting, isn't it? The sun is there. So the same way Krishna appears and disappears. It may appear that he is taking birth, but his taking birth is not like our taking birth. Even when he descends to this material realm, he is completely spiritual. So what he says, I am unborn, I am Ajo. My transcendental body never deteriorates. And then he says, I am the Lord of all living entities. Bhutanam Ishvaro, he says. So Bhutana means living entities, Ishvaro, the Lord. So he is the Lord of all the living entities. And he appears in every millennium. We will see the meaning of that. In my original transcendental form. He says he comes in his original form. So it's not that Krishna in Goloka has a different form, but when he came on this planet, he has taken on another form. No, in his very same original transcendental spiritual form also, he is there in this material world. Some people think that Krishna, because he's come down to this material world, now he has a material body, or that he is an ordinary human being like us. But even though he appears to be like an ordinary human being, he is still completely spiritual. His body is still completely transcendental. So to understand this with an example, let's say the president of the country has decided to visit the central jail in the country. Okay, so although he is there in the prison house, still he is free to walk in and walk out of that prison house whenever he wants, because he is the president. He is not like the other prisoners. The other prisoners in the jail do not have freedom to walk out and walk in at their free will, because they are implicated by the law of the land. So in the same way, although the president and the prisoners are in the same prison house geographically, still there is a difference between the president and the prisoners. In the same way, although Krishna has come to this material world is a prison house, there is a difference between Krishna and us than the other living entities. Let's read this.
Aja, unborn, example sun. Avyayam, without deterioration. Bhutanam Ishvara, Lord of all living entities. Atmamayaya, internal energy, appears by his causeless mercy, not forced by karma. Prakritim Swam, appears by his own nature, not material nature.
So Atma Mayaya, internal energy, he appears by his own causeless mercy. He appears because he wants to appear. Nobody can tell Krishna, okay, now it's time for you to go. He is not under any kind of law of karma. His birth is because he has chosen to appear, right? And he chooses his parents. He wants to appear in the womb of which personality he wants to be, who would be his father. So he chooses his parents, he chooses his place of birth, he chooses his time of birth. But we are not like that. We don't get to choose, okay, I want to be born to the president, I want to be born in the slum area. We cannot choose our parents. So we are just taking birth because of our past karma. But Krishna is not under the law of, under any law. What law of karma? He is not under any kind of law. Okay, so let's try to understand when does he appear. Now we know that there are 4 yugas: Kali Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Satya Yuga. The duration of Kali Yuga is 432,000 years. Double of that is the duration of Dwapara Yuga. 3 times Kali Yuga is the duration of Treta Yuga, and 4 times Kali Yuga is the duration of Satya Yuga. Now, all these 4 yugas put together makes one Divya Yuga. Now, 1,000 of these Divya Yugas, or 1,000 multiplied by 4,322,000, right? So, what is a Divya Yuga? Divya Yuga is the 4 yugas put together. 1,000 Divya Yugas make 12 hours in the day of Brahma, or Brahma's day is a 12-hour period, which is 1,000 Divya Yugas put together. And Brahma's night is another 12-hour period, which is another 1,000 Divya Yugas put together. So Lord Brahma's 24-hour period is a total of 2,000 Divya Yugas. Now Krishna appears once in the day of Brahma. That's when Krishna appears. Once in the day of Brahma, Krishna appears. So if you see by this calculation, we have not missed Krishna by too much. We are in the same Divya Yuga in which Krishna appeared. Out of 2,000 Divya Yugas, he appears in one Divya Yuga. Out of 2,000, one in 2,000. And we are in the same cycle in which Krishna appeared. So actually, if you see by this calculation, we have not missed him by much. So we are very fortunate actually that Krishna was on this planet just 5,000 years ago and not millions of years ago. Now let's calculate the life of Brahma. As we said, 2,000 Divya Yugas make a 24-hour period in the life of Brahma. Now, according to the Vedic calendar, Vedic calculation, every month has 30 days fixed. Okay, so Vedic calculation is when there are extra days, they adjust it with the Purushottam month. And here in the English calendar, they have some months as 31, some as 30, some as 28 to make the adjustment. And even then, there is a problem. So then there is a leap year every 4 years to make the adjustment, right? So Vedic system, the adjustment is made by introducing a Purushottam month once every 2 or 3 years it comes. Usually once in 3 years, the Purushottam month comes. So, okay. So Vedic calculation is 30 days in a month, 12 months in a year. And Brahma lives for 100 of such years. So how to calculate this? 400, okay, Shreya, can you read? It's a challenge now for you.
I will try to.
Okay.
4,320,000 into 1,000 is how much? 4,320,000 is equal to 12 hours a day or night of Lord Brahma is equal to a mere 12 hours of his life. Vedic calculation is equal to 30 days a month, 12 months a year. Brahma lives for 100 of his years. Can you calculate the age of Brahma based on this? Okay, I don't know how to. I'll just read the text. A complete day plus night of Lord Brahma. According to Vedic system, there are 360 days in a year, 30 into 12. Hence, whatever years is equal to Brahma's 1 year. Since Brahma lives for 100 of his years, I don't know how long is this, but it seems like it's 311 trillion 40 billion years is equal to Brahma's lifetime. Thus, Lord Brahma, the administrative demigod who resides on the highest planet in the universe, lives not a moment less than 311 trillion 40 billion years.
Yeah. So if you have these modern calculators, the normal calculator will give you an error message because they cannot go beyond 8 or 10 digits. But if you have this modern calculator, then you can calculate this and you come to this figure. Okay. So the life of Brahma is 311 trillion 40 billion years. And Brahma lives not for a moment less, nor a moment more. When his lifetime comes to an end, then somebody else is appointed as Lord Brahma. Now, can we become Lord Brahma?
We were Lord Brahma, right? Once you
Yes.
said in one lecture that the first time, like from the spiritual world, we came to the material world, everyone was Brahma once.
Yes. So all of us have been at least once Lord Brahma in our lifetime. But now if we want to become again Lord Brahma, if we want to occupy the post again, can we? What is the qualification that's required?
We need 100 years in Varnashram Dharma.
Yes. We have to live 100 lifetimes by perfectly following the Varnashram system. So that is a qualification to become, to take up the post of Lord Brahma. Now, what if nobody is qualified and Brahma's duration has ended? Then what happens?
Bali Maharaj takes his place.
No. So Bali Maharaj is scheduled to become the next Lord Brahma. That is correct. But the question is, if so, Bali Maharaj will not always take up the post of Brahma, right? So in a situation where Brahma has finished his lifetime and there is no one qualified, then what happens?
Krishna himself, he does it.
Exactly. Then Krishna himself will occupy that position. So when there's nobody qualified, then he does the needful. Okay, so any questions with regard to this? What data, the only data we require to know to calculate the age of Brahma is duration of Kali Yuga. So if we know that Kali Yuga is 432,000 years, then we know into 2 is the duration of Dwapara, into 3 duration of Treta, into 4 duration of Satya. All the 4 put together, 1 Divya Yuga. That multiplied by 1,000, 12 hours of Brahma. The same amount of years, another 12 hours of Brahma. So now you have Brahma's 24-hour period. Okay, that multiplied by 30, because 30 days a month, multiplied by 12, because 12 months a year, and multiplied by 100, because 100 years of Brahma, that will give you the duration of Lord Brahma's lifetime. So it's not so complicated. If you take the calculator, you will get this figure, 311 trillion and 40 billion years. Okay.
So when you say like we can become Brahma by living 100 lives perfectly, what does that mean? Like perfectly means like devotional service?
No, following the Varnashram system perfectly. Varnashram system.
Oh, okay.
Following the Varnashram system. So if somebody is a Brahmin, Kshatriya, do your Kshatriya duties. And if you're a Grihastha, do your Grihastha duty. Do your duties to perfection for 100 lifetimes.
Oh.
Then we can qualify to take up that post. But even after we qualify ourselves, after living 100 lifetimes so with so much perfection, we become Lord Brahma. But again, we are going to die. We are still in the material world. Then what is the use?
You can fall down, yeah.
Yeah, better to dedicate one lifetime to Krishna and go back to Goloka, isn't it?
Goloka, yeah.
Okay. So Krishna was saying that how he spoke this knowledge to Vivaswan. Vivaswan spoke it to Manu. Now, who is this Manu? Do we have only one Manu? No. In one day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus. So one day, so Manu's age is calculated as 71 Divya Yugas, because 1000 Divya Yugas divided by 14. So that gives us the age of each Manu, because in one day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus. And each Manu lives for 71 Divya Yugas by this calculation. So when does Krishna appear? Krishna appears as Krishna, because there are other incarnations that appear, right? Krishna's other expansions appear. But he appears as Purna Bhagavan, as Krishna himself, when once in every day of Brahma, in the 7th Manu. So there are 14 Manus in a day of Brahma. Krishna appears in the 7th Manus. Now in Manu, there are 71 Divya Yugas. Remember, each Manu has 71 Divya Yugas. So in the 7th Manus, 28th Divya Yuga. Now in that Divya Yuga, there are all 4 Yugas are there. So in that Divya Yuga, he comes in the Dwapar Yuga. And which part of the Dwapar Yuga? At the end of Dwapar Yuga, Krishna appears. So This is when Krishna appears. Once in the day of Brahma, in the 7th Manu's period, and in the 7th Manu's 28th Divya Yuga cycle. In that 28th Divya Yuga cycle, in the Dwapara Yuga, and at the end of the Dwapara Yuga. This is when Krishna appears. So we have actually missed him by just
Wait, Mataji, so
5,000 years.
Krishna appears a little bit before Kali Yuga, like to the end of Dwapara Yuga?
Yes, exactly. The day Krishna left the planet, Kali Yuga began. So it was at the fag end of Dwapara Yuga that Krishna appeared. Okay. As long as Krishna was on this planet, Kali could not enter. So when Krishna departed, then Kali Yuga began.
How many times has Krishna appeared until like now, or we cannot calculate that?
Cannot calculate. Millions and millions of millions. We cannot calculate.
Mataji, they also say Kali or Kalki is a form of Lord Vishnu. Is that true?
Yes, it's true. The Bhagavatam, in fact, gives us the name of the his father, tells us the village in which Kalki Avatar will appear, and he will ride a horse, and the name of the horse also is given in the Bhagavatam. Now, Bhagavatam was written by Vyasadeva 5,000 years ago, but he already predicted the appearance of Kalki, and he's given the name of the village where he will be born, what will be the name of his father, the name of his horse, what will his activities be. It's already predicted by Vyasadeva. But he will appear at the end of Kali Yuga. So Kali Yuga is 432,000 years. We have only crossed 5,000 years so far. So we have a long way to go before the genuine Kalki Avatar appears. We have a long way to go for that.
Okay.
So let's read this.
Bhagavad Gita 4.56. Differences between Krishna and the living entity. Krishna versus living entity. Infallible, fallible, same form, different forms, appears, forced to take birth. Krishna never forgets past lives. Everything is spiritual. The body is material. Laws of karma do not apply to Krishna, but the living entity subject to the laws of karma.
So this is the difference between Krishna and us. 4.7.
Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirbhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham.
Translations. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself.
So Krishna is saying, whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practices, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. Let's go to 4.8 because both these verses are connected.
Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge.
Translation. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear, millennium after millennium.
So this verse number 7 and 8 of chapter 4, every Indian knows it by heart because of the Mahabharata program that used to come, right? I used to watch it in my growing years. So here now we know the location of these two very famous verses, 4th chapter. So here he's saying he comes, I descend myself. He himself comes. At the other times he sends the other incarnations, but he himself comes at this time. And why does he come? He comes, he gives 3 reasons here. To deliver the pious, 1 reason. To annihilate, to destroy the miscreants, to kill the demons. And 3rd reason, to establish the principles of religion. I myself appear. So he's giving 3 reasons here. 1 is for the devotees, 1 is for the demons, And third is to re-establish the principles of religion. So what do you think? What is the reason? Which of these three is more important? What's the prime cause amongst these three? What is the principal reason Krishna comes for out of these three?
To please the devotees.
Okay, to please the devotees. Divya says to establish religion.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Mataji, I think it's to please the devotees.
Yeah, to
Okay.
protect the devotees.
To protect the devotees.
Yeah, no, Mataji, I would like to correct. I don't think English language has a proper translation for dharma. Honestly, I don't think so. Dharma
Okay.
has a lot of connotations to it, right?
There are many. See, one Sanskrit word can have so many meanings. So what meaning we use in which shloka, that depends on the context. So yeah, we may not be able to translate it to perfect. Yeah, Sanskrit is difficult to translate, but Prabhupada has made our life easier. He has given us the translation. So dharma sansthapanarthaya, to re-establish the principles of religion. Okay, anyway, let's do a poll, and there you can prime reason for Krishna's descent. So you can choose what do you think is the prime reason. Okay, so we'll go for another 15 seconds. Okay, we'll end the polling here. So most of you say that he comes especially for the pleasure of his devotees, which is the correct answer. Krishna killing the demons, he doesn't have to personally come to kill the demons. He's situated in the heart of every living entity. So he can just cause a heart attack and just cause a demon to die, right? So he doesn't have to personally come to kill a demon, or he can send someone to kill the demons. And to re-establish the religious principles, also he can send someone to do the same. The prime reason is Krishna comes for the pleasure of his devotees. He knows that his devotees are waiting. They want to see him. They want to embrace him. They want to have a loving relationship with him. So it's more for the pleasure of his devotees that Krishna descends. That is the prime reason. And because he has come anyway for his devotees, then he does the other things. He also kills demons and he reestablishes the religious principles. But prime reason is for his devotees. For example, Krishna has come to reciprocate with the love of Yashoda has for him, to reciprocate with the love of the Gopas and the Gopis of Vrindavan have for him. He has come to protect the Pandavas. He has come to protect Draupadi. He has not come to kill Kamsa. He has not come for that, especially for that. He has come more to protect his devotees, right? Even in the pastime of Lord Ramachandra, Lord Ramachandra's prime reason to come is not to kill Ravan. His concern is because Shabari is waiting for me. Her spiritual master has said that Ram will come one day. So you stay here. One day Ram will come. So every day she is decorating the path and she's waiting for Lord Ram to come. For so many years, all her life, she was a young girl when her spiritual master told her, you stay in this ashram, but one day Ram will come. And now she has grown old. All her lifetime, she has been waiting for Lord Ram. So Lord Ram comes to reciprocate the love of Shabri. He comes to eat her half-eaten berries, right? He comes to reciprocate the love that the residents of Ayodhya have for him. So he's coming more for his devotees. He's coming because he wants to embrace Hanuman. There is a picture of Hanuman and Lord Ram embracing each other. Very beautiful picture. So he's coming for that. His prime reason is not anything else. So the prime reason for the descent of the Lord is for his devotees. Because remember, Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala. His devotees are very, very close to his heart. Let's read this.
Why does Krishna appear? Paritranaya sadhunam, to appease his unalloyed devotees. Vinashchaya dushkritam, to vanquish the demons. Dharma samsthapanarthaya, re-establish religious principles. The demons always harass the devotees, even if they are their own family. Example, Devki, Kamsa, Prahlad, Hiranyakashipu. Actual agenda is to please or satisfy the devotees and attract lost children, performing pastimes in all five rasas, Santa Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya.
Okay, so Krishna performs pastimes in all five rasas or transcendental mellows, which we have discussed in the previous class. And different devotees connect with him differently. And therefore, in order to attract all kinds of living entities, he performs pastimes in all the five rasas. So this we have done in the previous class. We will not repeat it again now. Let's read about the other kinds of incarnations. So Krishna appears once in the day of Brahma, but at other times there are other incarnations or avatars. The word avatar means one who comes down, right? One who descends from a higher plane. He is an avatar. That doesn't mean that somebody is coming down a 20th floor building, so he has come down. No, one who comes from the spiritual realm, he is called as an avatar or the higher planetary systems. So let's read this.
There are six kinds of incarnations or avatars. Purusha avatars, Leela avatars, Guna avatars, Manwantra avatars, Yuga avatars, Satyavesa avatars.
So these Purusha avatars are the three Vishnus. We have seen this before, Mahavishnu, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu and Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. So Krishna's first incarnation in the material world is Mahavishnu. He is breathing universes. And from Garbhodakashayi Vishnu comes, from Mahavishnu comes Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, who enters into each universe. And it is from the navel of this Garbhodakashayi Vishnu that Lord Brahma appears. Then what happens? Garbhodakashayi Vishnu expands and enters into the heart of every living entity as the super soul or Paramatma, and he is called as the Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. So these three Vishnus are the first category here, the Purusha avatars. Now let us see what are the Leela avatars. Here.
Do you want me to read it?
Yes, please.
Leela avatars, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 1.41. During Brahma's one day, there are 25 Leela avatars, also known as Kalpa avatars, because they appear in every Kalpa. Number 1, Chaturshna, the 4 Kumaras, sons of Lord Brahma, also Satyavesha avatar. Narad Muni, the son of Lord Brahma, also Satyavesha avatar. Varadev, Shukara or the boar incarnation. Matsya, the fish incarnation. Yagna, the son of Prajapati, Ruchi and Akuti. During the period of Swayambhuva Manu, there was no qualified Indra. So the Lord appeared as Yagna and took that position. Nara Narayan, the twin sons of King Dharma and Murti. They are partial expansions of Krishna and Arjuna. Kapiladev, the son of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. Dattatreya, the son of Atri Muni and Anasuya. He is a combined incarnation of Lord Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. Hayasira, Lord Hayagriva, at the end of the millennium, ignorance personified took the form of a demon, stole the Vedas, and took them to the planet Rasatala. At that time, the Lord, at the request of Brahma, retrieved them after assuming the form of a horse. Hamsa, the swan incarnation. Due to bewilderment, Brahma could not answer some questions put forward by his sons. At that time, the Lord appeared as a swan and answered the questions. Prishinagarbha, the incarnation who appeared before Dhruva. He created the planet known as Dhruvalok for the habitation of Dhruv Maharaj. Sabha, the son of King Nabhi and Meru Devi. His oldest son was Bharat Maharaj, of which the earth was named after as Bharatvarsh. He instructed his sons to follow the path of perfection by tapasya, ecstaticism. Prithu, the incarnation of the Lord's ruling force. Due to the demoniac nature of King Vena, the sages killed him by a curse. They prayed for the Lord to appear and chant the two arms of a dead body according to a specific method, and the Lord appeared as Prithu. Narsimadev, the half man, half lion incarnation. He appeared to protect Prahlad by killing his demoniac father Hiranyakashipu. Kurma, the tortoise incarnation. He appeared to become the resting place of the Mandara hill, used as a churning rod by the demons and demigods to produce nectar. Dhanvantri, the father of Ayurveda. He appeared from the ocean of milk with a pot of nectar. Mohini, the Lord's form of a beautiful woman. The Lord tricked the demons by appearing in the form of a beautiful woman and asked the demons for the nectar and distributed it to the demigods. Vamandev, the dwarf incarnation, son of Kashyapa Muni and Aditi, who delivered Bali Maharaj. Parasurama, Bhrigupati, the son of Jamadagni Muni and Renuka. He annihilated the Kshatriyas 21 times because of the rebellion against the Brahmanas. Raghavendra, Lord Ramchandra, son of King Dashrath and Kaushalya. Vyasadev, the son of Parisra Muni and Satyavati. Lord Balram, the first plenary expansion of the Lord. Lord Krishna, the original form of the Lord. Buddha, the son of Anjana, who appeared in Gaya in the beginning of Kali Yuga to stop animal slaughter in the name of Vedic sacrifices by preaching non-violence and by not accepting Vedic authorities. Kalki, the son of Brahman Vishnu Yas. He will appear in the village Sambhala at the end of Kali Yuga. He will mount a horse, Devdutt, and taking his sword will kill millions upon millions of degraded barbarian humans. He will also commence Satyuga.
So here are the details of Kalki Avatar, Divya, for you. Okay, so these 25 are the other avatars who appear once in the day of Brahma. So these are the Leela avatars. They come for pastimes, for Leelas. Then we come to the Guna avatars. The Guna avatars, there are three modes of material nature: mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. So Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, these are the three Guna avatars. Now, Lord Brahma is in charge of the mode of passion because he creates, and for creation, what does one require? Passion, isn't it? So he's in charge of the mode of passion. So remember, we are saying that he's in charge. We are not saying that he is in the mode of passion. He's in charge of the mode of passion. And Lord Shiva, he's in charge of destruction. So he's in charge of the mode of ignorance, because for destruction, what is it? It's ignorance. Out of ignorance, one destroys, isn't it? So he's in charge of the mode of ignorance and he's in charge of destruction. And more than what is more difficult, creation, destruction, or maintenance? The most difficult is maintenance. So for that, mode of goodness is required. And therefore, Lord Vishnu, he is the maintainer. He is in charge of the mode of goodness. So the Guna avatars are Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. Then we come to the Manwantra avatars. Now, as we discussed that in one day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus. Now, all these 14 Manus are the Manwantara avatars. We have the names of each of these 14 Manus. Let's read.
Manwantra Avatars. There are 14 Manwantra Avatars, also known as Vaibhav Avatars, who appear during the 14 ruling periods of Manus, Manvantaras, in one day of Brahma, Kalpa. They are unlimited in number. Each Manvantara is presided over by different Indra. Manu Swayambhuva, Swaroshita, Uttama, Tamasa, Raivata, Chakshusha, Vaivastvata, Shraddhadev, Savarni, Daksha Savarni, Brahma Savarni, Dharma Savarni, Rudra Savarni, Deva Savarni, and Indra Savarni.
So these are the 14 Manus. Who is the current Manu? Our Manu. The Manu of our cycle is seventh one, Vaivashvata Manu. So how can you say that?
The previous slide said the Lord appeared in the seventh.
Exactly. Yes. So we are still in that cycle, isn't it? So the current Manu is Vaivasvata Manu. Very nice, Shreya. Let's continue.
Thank you. Yuga avatars. In each of the 4 yugas or ages, Krita, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali, Lord Keshav appears with various complexions, names, and forms, and is thus worshipped by various processes. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.20. In the 4 yugas, Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali, the Lord incarnates in 4 colors: white, red, black, and yellow, respectively. These are the colors of the incarnations in different millenniums. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 20.330. This child formerly had 3 colors according to the prescribed color for different millenniums. Formerly, he was white, red, and yellow, and now he has assumed a blackish color. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.8.13, spoken by Gargamuni.
So who was Gargamuni? Okay, Gargamuni was the sage who did perform the naming ceremony of Krishna upon the request of Nanda Maharaj. So when Gargamuni made the horoscope, right, of Krishna upon his appearance, that at that time he told that this child formerly had 3 colors. Previously he was white, red, and yellow, and now he has assumed a blackish color. So what are the Yuga avatars? The Yuga avatars are the avatars that come in each Yuga and they establish the Yuga Dharma. So we discussed how each Yuga has its Yuga Dharma. This Yuga Dharma is established by the Yuga avatar. So Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara, and Kali Yuga, each of them have their Yuga avatars. These are the 4 Yuga avatars. Now let us see about the Yuga avatar of Satya Yuga.
Chaitanya Charitamrita 20.332 translation. In Satya Yuga, the Lord appeared in a body colored white with 4 arms and matted hair. He wore tree bark and bore a black antelope skin. He wore a sacred thread and a garland of Rudraksh beads. He carried a rod and a water pot, and he was a brahmachari. Chaitanya Charitamrit, Madhya 20.334, translation and purport. As a white incarnation, the Lord taught religion and meditation. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.22. People in Satya Yuga are peaceful, non-envious, friendly to every creature, and steady in all situations. They worship the Supreme Personality by austere meditation and by internal and external sense control. Chaitanya Charitamrit, Madhya 20.335. In Satya Yuga, the people were generally advanced in spiritual knowledge and could meditate upon Krishna very easily. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.23. In Satya Yuga, the Lord is glorified by the names Hamsa, Suparna, Vaikuntha, Dharma, Yogeshwar, Amala, Ishvara, Purusha, Avyakt, and Paramatma.
So this is the white incarnation of Satya Yuga. Now let's see the red incarnation of Treta Yuga.
Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.24. In Treta Yuga, the Lord appears with a red complexion. He has 4 arms, golden hair, and wears a triple belt representing initiation into each of the 3 Vedas. Embodying the knowledge of worship by sacrificial performance, which is contained in the Rig, Sam, and Yajur Vedas, his symbols are the ladle, spoon, and other implements of sacrifice. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.25. In Treta Yuga, those members of human society who are fixed in religiosity and are sincerely interested in achieving the absolute truth worship Lord Hari, who contains within himself all the demigods. The Lord is worshipped by the rituals of sacrifice taught in the three Vedas. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.26. In Treta Yuga, the Lord is glorified by the names Vishnu, Yagya, Persnigarbha, Sarvadeva, Urukrama, Vraskapi, Jayanta, and Urugaya.
So this is the rare incarnation of Treta Yuga. Dwapar Yuga, any guesses? Who was the incarnation?
Krishna?
Krishna himself.
Yes, of course, Krishna himself. Okay, let's read.
Chaitanya Charitamrit Madhya 20.336. In Dwapar Yuga, the people's occupational duty was to worship the lotus feet of Krishna. Therefore, Lord Krishna, appearing in a blackish body, personally induced people to worship him. Chaitanya Charitamrit Madhya 20.337. In Dwapar Yuga, the personality of Godhead appears in a blackish hue. He is dressed in yellow, he holds his own weapons, and he is decorated with the Kaustubha jewel and the mark of Srivatsa. That is how his symptoms are described.
Okay, so who was the golden incarnation of Kali Yuga?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Mahaprabhu.
Mahaprabhu.
Exactly. That's right.
Chaitanya
Again, I have a
Charitamrita.
question regarding the last slide. Why is blackish boy highlighted here or in a blackish hue? Like, why is the color highlighted and described here?
Because they have given the colors for every avatar. Here, white. Satya Yuga, it was white. Treta, red. Dwapara, black. And here it's golden. So not only the complexion, but every aspect of the Lord is highlighted. If you see in the Shastras. Even the color of his clothes is there, no? He is dressed in yellow. The color of his dhoti also is given.
If Krishna was black, why do people discriminate black people in India?
Because they have not read the Bhagavad Gita in the true sense. They don't understand. They are still on the bodily platform. Anybody who discriminates between living entities on the bodily platform, it's because they lack. The first lesson of spiritual knowledge is you are not the body, you are spirit soul. So they are still on the bodily concept. They are not thinking like a devotee. They are thinking like a conditioned soul. Because they lack the knowledge, that's why the discrimination is there. A devotee will not make any discrimination. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. You don't sound very convinced.
No, I'm sad.
Ah, you're sad. Okay.
It's sad.
Okay, let's read about the last Yuga Avatar.
Chaitanya Charitamrit, Madhya 20.340. In the age of Kali, Lord Krishna assumes a golden color and accompanied by his personal devotees introduce Hari Nam Sankirtana, the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. By this process, he delivers love for Krishna to the general populace. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associate servants, weapons, and confidential companions.
So out of all these avatars, who is the most merciful?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Is he more merciful than Krishna also?
Yes.
Why?
Because
Yes.
the Lord of the
Because
devotee of the Lord is more merciful than the Lord himself.
Okay, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is playing the role of, although he is Krishna himself, he is playing the role of a devotee, and the devotee of the Lord is more merciful than the Lord. Any other reason?
Because it is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Okay, but why? Why is he more merciful? Why is he more merciful than Krishna also?
He came the mood of Srimati Radharani's. serving. And there is a rather when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji is taking a saffron clothes, when in Shridham Vrindavan Dham, when Lord Krishna is going from Sri Mathura Dham, that time Srimati Radharani is wearing saffron clothes. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave a promise that whenever I came in a says the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srimati Radharani's mood, that time I fulfill your desire and come to give a Krishna consciousness to fallen soul. Radharani's desire.
Yes, so that's Lord Chaitanya in the mood of Srimati Radharani. And that's the reason why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also has golden complexion, because golden was the complexion of Srimati Radharani also. Okay, so what did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu give us that Krishna did not give us?
He revealed the Mahamantra.
Exactly, that's the prime reason. Krishna did not give us the Mahamantra. It was a secret mantra in the Vedas. Only those who are qualified would receive the mantra. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has openly distributed this Mahamantra. So anybody can chant. Even a small child can chant, right? A meat eater, a chain smoker, a gambler, anybody can chant, no restrictions. Krishna had one condition. What did Krishna say? First you surrender unto me, right? Krishna also had one condition. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has no condition. He's just saying, just chant. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is even more merciful than Krishna. And how often does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appear? We saw how often Krishna appears. How often does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appear? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also appears once in the day of Brahma. Dwapara Yuga, Krishna appears. In the next Yuga, Kali Yuga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears. So we have missed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by just 500 years. That's it. Just by a whisker, we have missed him. Just 500 years ago, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was personally present on this planet. Out of millions of years, imagine. Okay.
So Mataji, the Kalki Avatar's complexion or the description of the symptoms are not described here.
Oh, here we do not have that information. Vyasadeva has revealed this much. Probably in some other Shastra, it is definite. It must definitely be there, but I do not have access to it. It's not in our Veda base. So we have the information. This is there in the Bhagavatam, what Vyasadeva has recorded. But somewhere else, probably it is there, but we don't know the color of his complexion. But we definitely know the name of his father, the village, and the name of his horse.
Okay. So Krishna is the Leela avatar.
So one may be a Leela avatar also. One may be okay. So among these 6 categories, there may be. It's not necessary that if one is in slot 1, he cannot be in slot 4, or he is in slot 5, so he cannot be in slot 2. He may be here also, and he may be there also. Krishna is Purna Bhagavan. Actually, Krishna is not an avatar. He is an avatari. He is the fountainhead of all incarnations. You see in this picture, all these incarnations are coming from Krishna. So Krishna is not an avatar, he is an avatari. But because he also performs Leelas and he also comes once in the day of Brahma, his name is there in that category of Leela avatar. Because he also comes once in a day of Brahma like the other Leela avatars. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mataji, I had a question. So they talk about Kalki, right?
Yes.
And they talk about he'll come in a horse. Even maybe I'm thinking too logically. Like right now, we don't use any horses in today's condition.
Okay.
Right, and here they say that he will come. He will be reborn in Sambhala in Kali, and then he will mount a horse and taking his sword will kill millions. I don't know what will future bring, but it is a little bit based on what we know today, like with all the animals not being used for transportational or purpose. So I don't know.
So when the Lord descends, he also comes with his paraphernalia and his associates also descend along with the Lord. So this horse is not going to be an ordinary horse. This horse is also the Lord, his associates, his weapons, everything associated with the Lord is also transcendental. So people, yes, even Lord Shiva rides, everybody has their Vahana, no? Lord Vishnu rides on the Garud, Lord Shiva rides on Nandi, Lord Brahma rides on the swan. So yes, animals are used for transportation even by the lords. So this is not an ordinary horse.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm good.
Does that convince you?
Yeah, I'm good for now. Thank you.
All right. So the last category of avatars is the Shaktya-Vesha avatar. Let's read.
Satyavesha avatars. There is no limit to the Satyavesha avatars. The Satyavesha incarnations are of two kinds, direct and indirect. When the Lord himself comes, he is called Sakshat or a direct Satyavesha avatar, and when he empowers some living entity to represent him, the living entity is called an indirect or Avesha incarnations. Example of direct or Shakshad avatars are the Shesh incarnation and the Ananta incarnation. In Ananta, the power of sustaining all planets is invested, and in the Shesha incarnation, the power for serving the Supreme Lord is invested. Examples of indirect avatars are the four Kumaras, Narad, Brahma, and Parashuram. These are actually living entities, but there is specific power given to them by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The four Kumaras specifically represent the Supreme Lord's opulence of knowledge. Narad represents the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. In Brahma, the opulence of creative power is invested. In Parshuram, the power for killing evil elements is invested.
So Shakti Avesha Avatar, when somebody is given the Shakti or the potency or he's empowered to perform an otherwise impossible task, that is a Shakti Avesha Avatar. So Lord Brahma is empowered to create. Who can create the universe, right? But it's an impossible task. But Lord Brahma is empowered with the potency to create. Then Narada Muni represents the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. Now, Narada Muni, anyone who comes in touch with Narada Muni becomes a devotee. He has that golden touch, right? So he has so many stalwart disciples like Prahlad, Dhruv, Brigari the hunter also became a devotee because of Narada. The sons of Kuber, they were cursed by Narada, but eventually they were delivered by Krishna. So anybody who comes in touch with Narada, he becomes a devotee. That is the potency that Narada has been invested with. Parshuram for the power of killing, and four Kumaras represent the Supreme Lord's knowledge. So even Srila Prabhupada is a Shaktya-Vesha avatar. What was the impossible task that Prabhupada accomplished? To spread the chanting of the holy name in every town and village. And Prabhupada also is that personality, even he has been predicted in the Shastras. So it was predicted that there will be this personality who would take the chanting of the holy name to the Western world, and he will spread it in every town and village. So he is also a Shaktya-Vesha avatar. So here is a summary of the 6 kinds of incarnations. Purusha avatars are the 3 Vishnus. Leela avatars are those 25 names we saw who appear once in the day of Brahma. Guna avatars for the 3 gunas, Sattva Guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and Lord Vishnu. Manwantra avatars, the 14 Manus that come once in the day of Brahma. Yuga avatars, we saw the 4 avatars, each one for the 4 yugas. And the Shaktya-Vesha avatar are the empowered incarnations of the Lord. So Lord Krishna comes once in the day of Brahma as Krishna himself, but these are the other avatars who come during the other periods. So we'll stop here. We'll continue in the next class if Krishna so sanctions. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jay.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ji Shri Nam Mata ji ki jai, Shri Nam Radha Mata ji ki jai, Shri Bhagavad Gita ji ke, Bhagavad Gita ki jai, all Bhakta Vrunda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Jai Jai Nityananda, Jai Jai Gauranga. Thank you Mataji for your association and blessing. Thank you, learning so many things from you.
No, thank you to all of you. Thank you, Vrinda Gopika Mataji. We missed you in the previous 2 classes, Mataji. How was your hand?
Regularly come Mataji, please forgive me.
Okay, so do we have any questions?
Mataji, did we see where Narasimha avatar comes under which category?
Yeah, he was under the Leela avatar.
Yeah, okay. I missed it. Sorry. Thank you.
What else?